The C11 Work Permit program, also known as the Significant Benefit Work Permit program, is a very popular pathway for foreign entrepreneurs to come to Canada to run their businesses. So let's see today in our presentation what has changed and what IRCC has made clear in the recent changes in its operational instructions. I have a quick presentation for you, and I will tell you what you should be aware of in order to succeed in your C11 Work Permit application. So C11 Work Permit has seen an overhaul by IRCC on May 27 of 2025. There were more stringent rules, more official statements in terms of unwritten rules were already present, but now it's made official. So in my presentation today, in a brief note, I want to make 4 main points. One is that the purpose of these changes that IRCC did was to stop speculative and passive applicants. As you can remember, C11 has become very popular. Actually, our firm, Sobirov's law firm, made it very popular pathway for foreign entrepreneurs to come to Canada for about 2 to 3 years and then switch to permanent residence. It's no longer the case. This is more about temporary, active management applicants who come to Canada to run genuine businesses, not speculative businesses, not just on paper, but in real life. So one way is to make it more stringent. IRCC decided to stop speculative business plans which never materialize in real life. And also they want to stop making C11 as a passive investment program, okay? So now the focus was on real businesses, because IRCC wants real businesses to be run or purchased. Regional impact is also the key factor in these changes. Also, they want now a clear exit plans for those temporary entrepreneurs, temporary foreign entrepreneurs coming to Canada to acquire a business or run it and then exit the business. C11 is now more selective in a way. So point number 2 is it's very selective now, designed for temporary, that's the key word, temporary entrepreneurs who will actively contribute to Canadian communities, preferably rural communities and faraway locations in Canada where the economy needs more entrepreneurs and there are many businesses for sale, or there's a need for new types of businesses. Point number 4, I will also discuss in this presentation. If you watch it until the end, there will be 4 major changes that I will focus on that we will discuss today, and I will also discuss a strategy taking into account these changes on how to succeed in your C11 Work Permit application. Finally, there's a recent case, a recent federal court case that sets stricter requirements in terms of C11 Work Permit renewal. So make sure you watch our next video about it. As a side note, my name is Rahmat Sobirov. I'm a managing lawyer of the business immigration law firm called Sobirov's Law Firm. We are a boutique business immigration law firm. There are many changes that IRCC implements silently by adding and removing something from operational instructions. For example, the topic that we will discuss today, as you can see, is a topic that has been implemented on May 27, right? So you can see here, May 27. But there were other changes too. You can see that there were changes in November, right? There were changes back in 2017. We have been following those changes dramatically. In a way, I think these periodic changes and periodic modification of the program was designed to make it more stricter, narrower, and so on. In 2017, it was a quite unknown program. Many people weren't really interested in C11. Then we really popularized it through our applications. People would buy a business, run the business for a couple of years, and then get their LMIA-backed job offers, which would add 200 points or 50 points, and then they would switch to permanent residence. Not anymore. These changes were designed to remove those conveniences in the program, and now we have the latest version of the instructions, IRCC operational instructions, that were quite silently implemented. So I suggest that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media, because we find those changes for you and analyze and explain the importance of those changes. So don't forget to subscribe and send us your questions and suggestions. What kind of programs, what kind of business immigration programs you want us to discuss in our videos. So just as a background, what is C11 Work Permit? Some people refer to it as significant benefit work permit because there's a word significant benefit that is the highlight of this program. It's a category of work permits under International Mobility Program. There's an umbrella program called International Mobility. This program is an exceptional program. So in general, in usual circumstances, if you want to hire a foreigner, a Canadian wants to hire a foreigner, a Canadian business or entrepreneurs, they need to prove that they couldn't find the right Canadian resident or Canadian citizen for that position. For that purpose, they obtain LMIA, so Labor Market Impact Assessment. But this program, C11 Work Permit, waives that LMIA requirement for applicants who bring significant benefit to Canada. Therefore, because in this program, the foreign applicant, foreign entrepreneur is both the employer and employee at the same time, so they had to obtain LMIA, but because of the C11 exception, you don't need to obtain LMIA. So it waives LMIA for those applicants who bring significant benefit to Canada. This program targets entrepreneurs starting or acquiring Canadian businesses. So you can start your business from zero or acquire an existing business in Canada. Self-employed professionals, also temporary residents who are pursuing permanent residence through such programs as PNPs and SUVs, provincial programs, and so on. But the focus of my presentation today is not the PNP or SUV related C11. I'm focusing on entrepreneurs and self-employed category today in my presentation. So, major change number one. It was unofficially known that you had to own at least 50%, preferably 51%, to become the business owner who needs to be in Canada. With the family, you would move to Canada, but now it's official. It's not a new requirement. It existed de facto. In practice, it existed, and we always suggested that our clients own at least 51% of their business that they acquire or establish in Canada. Now it's an official requirement that the foreign entrepreneurs must hold at least 51% ownership of the Canadian business that they want to run by obtaining the work permit and want to come to Canada to run it. All right, if you obtain under 51% of the shares of the ownership, you are no longer considered business owner under C11. You are considered to be possibly a passive investor who doesn't have to be in Canada. You can invest from outside. Let's say you live in one of the foreign countries and you say, yeah, I like a franchise in Canada. Here's my investment, which is less than 51%. And you don't have to be in Canada because there is someone with 51% or majority owner who will be running the business in Canada. Maybe that person is a Canadian person, or maybe the one, he's a foreigner who owns 51%. So if you are less than 51% owner, then you are not a business owner under C11, the program. Then you are just an investor and you don't have to be in Canada. So implications for that is, for example, joint ventures, they need to be restructured in a way. Now, if you are in a joint venture scenario, now you need to maintain majority control to qualify for the C11 work permit. That's one, the major change number one under IRCC overhaul of the program. Major change number two is the financial structure. Financial structure, now you need to show two separate funds. One, personal fund, according to the low income cutoff example here in the presentation, depending on the size of your family and the location you want to be living, you need to support your family with a separate fund that's called personal fund. And you need to also have a business fund that you don't intermingle between each other, that you need to show to run and start a business. Nowadays, with the changes, and I will come to the duration of the work permit, so you need to show personal funds to support yourself and your family for 18 months. That's the period that has been modified. You need to meet Canada's low income cutoff requirements. And you need to show business funds necessary to start your business, okay? The importance is now the IRCC verifies you want to make sure that you don't dip into your personal funds in order to run your business. An example of LICO is for a period of 12 months, and then you have to calculate accordingly for the period of 18 months. If your family consists of 3 people and you want to live in a city of more than 500,000 inhabitants, then you need to show close to 40,000 Canadian for 12 months period. If you want to live in a smaller cities between 100,000 to 499,000 residents, then you need to show less amount. So this is a good example of those who are interested in LICO thresholds. Major change number 3, proof of sources. Now that you have shown the funds, right, you need to show where those funds came from. You must demonstrate legitimate origin of business funds and prepare bank statements, investment documents, valuations, sales, and so on. Make a huge effort to show the history of the money, where it's coming from. IRCC is now verifies sources of fund in detail. There are a lot of situations where in different parts of the world, there are things that don't register, there's money laundering efforts and so on, but IRCC is aware of it, so you have to justify and show the sources of fund for your business operation in Canada. Major change number 4, and this is the last change, permit duration. Usually, it used to be within the blocks of 12 months, okay? Previously, in many cases for our C11 applicants, we used to obtain 2-year work permits. At the minimum, 2 years. We would request 3 years justifying that, but IRCC would issue for 2 years. Now, default work permits are issued for a maximum of 18 months. I think, in my own interpretation, the IRCC is taking into account this runway period of, let's say, 6 months when you come to Canada, try to run your business, warm up your business a little bit, and then there's a 12 months period, which is reasonable to show that you have made significant benefits to Canada. If you need longer period than 18 months, then you provide evidence that you are still you have temporary intent in Canada, you're not becoming de facto permanent resident in Canada, and you need to offer a clear exit plan. What is your exit plan? You want to hire a manager to take it over from you so that you can return to your home country. How do you see your business continuing after you leave Canada? So exit plan needs to be there. So in this major change number 4, take into account that exit plans were not a requirement before. Now they are required. Canada demands, because it's the temporary nature of your stay in Canada, what happens when you leave Canada? That's the exit plan, and you need to be aware of. Strategy that you need to win C11 work permit application. First, it's obvious, prepare a strong initial application. If it's your first time that you are applying for C11, make sure that your application is strong. As I said, 51% ownership documentation, at least 51. Usually it's 100%, but just the threshold is 51. Clear fund separation between business funds and personal funds, and you need to meet the thresholds. Some people ask me, how much funds do I need to run a business in Canada? I say it depends what kind of business you want to run in Canada and where exactly you want to run that business. So the location is very important. Then you need to have comprehensive budgeting, business plus living for expense for 18 months at the minimum. If you show more than 18 months that you have enough funds for more than 18 months, that's good. That's for your benefit. a very detailed business plan that shows real economic impact. I will come back to the economic impact and the IRCC operational manual instructions they made clear with an example of a small convenience store. You need to show what your small business or medium business or large business does in terms of economic impact regionally. You don't have to go global. You have to go to that little city or town, small town that you will be living and running your business. What is that impact? In the business plan, you got to show that. Hiring strategies. The top of the line as a benefit to Canadians is to create jobs or maintain existing jobs. If you open a new business, then you have to create new jobs other than for yourself. So because you are employed in that business, you need to go beyond yourself. You need to go beyond your family. How many Canadians will you hire for your business? Then target customers. Of course, you need to discuss in your business plan, who are your target customers? How will you acquire those customers and so on? Then regional and community benefits. The fact that you are organizing a business in certain community will have a positive effect because maybe that service is needed in that community. Maybe your business is growing in that community. So you need to come up and connect yourself with community business organizations like Economic Development Office, business associations, and get their support too. Try to get their support. And of course, exit planning for permit renewal. Show you won't overstay. When you want to renew your work permit, usually I agree with most of the businessmen that I talk to, it takes 3 to 5 years to bring up the business from zero, right? So if you want a renewal, you need to show how you will exit your business and go back to your home country and what will happen to that business that you exited. In a nutshell, you need to be a forward-thinking entrepreneur, which you are already, because many entrepreneurs, they think ahead for many years. Be proactive. Consider hiring Canadians or contributing regionally from day one. When you come to Canada, try to get on the job right away. Benefit. How can you benefit from business, and how can Canada or Canadians or that population around you can benefit from your business? So hire Canadians from day one. Plan for temporary stay. Yes, C11 used to be a mechanism to go into the permanent residence. It's no longer the case. And the job offers don't add points nowadays. So that era has ended, where you could switch from work permit to permanent residence. Now, plan for temporary stay. Have an exit strategy, or hire a manager that helps with your long-term plans. By hiring a local manager, a Canadian, you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You give the benefit and you also have an exit strategy. So leave your business, plan to exit your business and leave it in the right hands. So have that in mind. Treat renewal, if you need to renew again, because it's for 18 months and 18 months is not enough for new businesses. Treat renewal applications as a completely new application. And we will come to that. And watch our videos about renewal case, which is a federal court case that I will discuss. Final takeaways. Now, let's summarize. 1, C11 work permit is now tighter and clearer. No passive investment plans or no passive waiting and getting a status in Canada. You need to be actively engaged, actively producing benefit to Canadians and so on. Business ownership requirements and structuring the business is important. Clear finances, personal funds versus business funds, and where those funds are coming from. Meaningful economic benefit. Think of your business as a machine to benefit Canada. How can Canada benefit from you by allowing you to come to Canada and run the business, okay? Temporary intent and exit strategy is very important. You need to demonstrate that, otherwise the application may be denied. So in this overhaul, this change of May 27th by IRCC is a serious one. It demands serious, result-oriented, result-driven entrepreneurs, and you need to plan intentionally and strategically. It's a temporary temporary stay in Canada? How can Canada benefit from the business? How many Canadians will you hire? And so on and so forth. Now, our next video, please stay tuned and subscribe to our channel. It's an important C11 case from the Federal Court of Canada. It's about the renewal, but it gives great insights on what to pay attention when you are applying for C11 application and C11 application for renewal. So the brief story about this case, the applicant had launched a business in Canada and wanted to extend their stay under C11, but he was found to have failed to demonstrate that their ongoing presence in Canada would continue producing meaningful economic or social gains for Canadians. Basically, in that case, he didn't go beyond himself. He just employed himself. He didn't hire anyone. He was just working as a self-employed person, which is okay, but when it comes to renewal, it's not enough. You didn't produce significant benefit other than bringing yourself to Canada and living in Canada. So you need to go beyond yourself and your family. We will discuss the key principles in that case, and I'll share legal insights from that case. Stay tuned and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget that we always appreciate receiving great questions, challenging questions from you. Send us your questions, and if you're ready to dive deeper, you want to explore C11 as your avenue, as your pathway to come to Canada, talk to us. We are very open and transparent about what can or cannot be done in your circumstances. Make sure you follow us on social media and send us your questions. Thank you very much for your kind attention today. It's a short presentation. However, I tried to pack all the important aspects of C11 Work Permit in the new realities of IRCC. It's tighter, it's clearer. It's still great opportunities for those who want to do business in Canada and earn business income and run successful businesses in this beautiful country. Stay tuned. See you next time. Thank you.